So over the last week or two, I've been publishing some videos looking at slow motion video of professional players and checking out where they're making contact with their serve relative to their toss. And there's been a lot of comments beneath those videos. And one of them in particular, I kind of had a little bit of back and forth with about making topspin. And we had a disagreement. And in this video, I'm going to address that and actually show you some slow motion examples of what we're talking about to get to the bottom of it so we can decide which is actually true, his position or my position. So just to fill you in, below the second peek at the toss video, this person left a comment that initially said, that's at least more than a foot of drop for Roger. Granted, a lot of others, modern players you mentioned, look like they hit it on the rise or at the peak, but it's simply impossible to get spin or pace that way. So I responded to that initial comment and said, it's definitely possible to get pace or spin while hitting at the peak of the toss. But as I said in this video, I believe a rhythm that is quick is much too difficult for most amateur athletes. And that's who our viewers are, mostly amateur players. Then this viewer again responded and said, pace maybe, I can see that possible for some, but very few with the freakish ability, but topspin definitely not. Spin on ground strokes is created by hitting low to high, brushing up, or slice, brushing down. Using the same principle, topspin on a serve can only be created if the racket is moving up while the ball is moving down. The opposite direction of collision will not happen if hit at the peak or at the top of the toss. So we can agree to disagree there. My response, that's definitely not true. The ball doesn't need to be moving downwards in order to hit topspin. The racket simply needs to be moving upwards faster than the ball is. Players hit topspin ground strokes, often on the rise ball, all the time. Hope that makes sense. He responded, it doesn't, but that is okay. We can agree to disagree. Players can hit with some spin on the rise to an opponent's ground stroke because it's a counter spin directional contact from the racket. Opponent's ball is spinning down while the striker's racket is moving up. That's the opposite directional movement that is created to generate topspin on the ground stroke due to the ball coming at you with pace and spin. This does not and cannot occur on the ball toss because you don't chuck the ball at the toss and definitely don't throw it up with any spin. It's not until gravity takes over and the ball comes down for one to create this high speed brushing in the opposite direction to create enough rotations to be called topspin. It should make sense, it's just physics. So then I said, just to be clear, I understand here, you're saying if a ball is traveling upwards without any spin, topspin isn't possible. He gave me thumbs up, check mark, and then I said, cool, slow motion video on the way. This is that video. So what this person is contesting is that topspin, let's imagine the ball is traveling in this direction. Topspin is not possible unless the ball is either traveling down and moves against the direction of the racket, which is moving upwards. I think what he's saying is those two opposing forces is what kind of grabs the ball and makes it rotate forwards as it goes back in the other direction. Or he's saying if the ball is rotating forwards, end over end, while it comes in contact with the upward moving racket, then that could also create topspin coming back the other way because again, we have force going this way, force coming this way, and so there's those opposing forces. So listen, all we have to do is grab an iPad and just record it and find out. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm not doing this to call this person out or make fun of them. In fact, we're going to, hide their username, their account name. It's not about like talking down to anybody. But what it is about is making sure people understand what's true and what's false. There's all kinds of debates that happen like this on the internet, and we have the opportunity to just see for ourselves. So let's conduct a little science experiment. Okay, so we've got the iPad here. This is shooting at 240 frames per second. We have Tyler. Say hello, Tyler.
Hello.
We got Tyler here. He's going to be dropping the ball onto our mark right here. Go ahead and give us an example, Tyler. So that the ball is coming up through point of contact, which I'm going to want to make right about here, right? Is that centered? Yep, right about there. So the ball is going to be traveling upwards through my strike zone, which is going to be right here. And then we have Kevin over there who's catching the ball. We colored in this ball with black so that we can really clearly see the lines and we can check out the rotation.
Ready?
All Ooh,
That was fire.
that was good. That was good topspin. We just got to check the ball. So we got the results we're looking for to be able to tell which is happening, but it's really tough to see the seams on the way. You know, we're just using an iPad here. We don't have some fancy slow motion camera. So I'm going to draw some X's so that on the way up, it's really clear if the ball is rotating or not. Ooh, that was clean. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got. We did two different experiments. One, we did our best to make contact with the ball coming upwards with no spin. And so here's the result from that one. You can see the ball dropping and then coming up into frame. And what I was doing when I was looking at the results was picking an X. So check out that X right there. And you can see obviously the ball is coming upwards. Keep your eye on that X, and you can see how it holds its position, holds its position, holds its position. There's contact. And then watch the ball travel away from me, now with quite a lot of spin. This is 240 frames per second. And so if I wanted to go, you know what, I should just calculate it, because we have X's here that we can actually count. So hold on, I'll calculate it for you. All right, so here, I'm gonna start with this X facing straight back towards the camera, just so we can get a measurement here. And, okay, so starting from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15. There's that same X. So it took 15 frames to come all the way back around the ball. Okay, so I counted 15 frames for one revolution. We were shooting at 240 frames per second. That means 16 revolutions per second are happening. So 16 times it would go all the way around in 240 frames. And so times 60, that means I hit that topspin shot with 960 revolutions per minute. So the ball came up with 0 RPM, and hitting it on the rise, I created almost 1,000 RPM. Here it is real quick, coming up. Check the X as it's rising. There's contact right there. And then there's the rotation away from the racket, traveling towards Kevin. So we're just having a little conversation here among the crew. So if you can imagine that same scenario, I hit it with the ball having no spin on the way up. If, as this commenter was proposing, the ball was actually rotating towards the racket, it takes extra force for me to reverse that energy traveling this way and make it instead go back in the other direction. That's what normally happens. When the ball hits the court, it grabs the court and comes up and spins towards you. And so to hit topspin, you have to reverse that spin. There was actually a big benefit for me having no spin on the ball, because I can just go ahead and hit it from a static no spin position, and just without any force moving in the other direction, I can just go ahead and spin it freely towards Kevin. One more really quick here. On this one, Tyler up at the top was actually spinning the ball away from my racket. And so we wanted to show that you could actually make more spin even in the opposite condition. We have the ball rising, and the ball, not only is it not turning towards my racket at all, but we wanted to create the same environment but have the ball rotate away from my racket. So here's that repetition. You can see the ball rising. Again, check out this X right there and watch how it's turning forwards. I have not made contact yet. We can't see that first X yet. There's contact right there. And the ball speeds up after contact. So again, watch really closely. Watch the X coming from the back of the ball up to the top of the ball. There's contact. And then there's the rotation moving towards Kevin after contact. So the ball began rotating. And by the way, he wasn't just like flipping it. He was starting with his hands together and aggressively spinning the ball, because that's the only way we could get it to turn fast enough to actually see it turning by the time it came up to the point of contact. So imagine, within the context of a serve toss, spinning the ball up into the air towards the other side of the court, you can still make topspin with contact being made on the way up. So, physics. But in all seriousness here, I just wanted to debunk this little debate that I had in the comments of our other video, and also just let people know out there that in this modern age of slow motion video, basically in your pocket, there's really no reason to have these debates anymore. All you have to do is go out there. We had a little tripod. Maybe not most people, but lots of people have iPads. All you have to do is set it up there and just find it out for yourself. And yet I see video after video with all these like angry comments and flaming and trolling down below the videos in the comments. And sometimes it's fun to just go out there and give it a shot and find out what actually happens in real life. Hopefully this was helpful and enjoyable. Thanks for watching.